Hello guys, welcome back my YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to explore the top 4 ultra rare in the world of American coinage. Few coins have earned as much respect and recognition as the Lincoln Wheat Penny. Among its many additions, the 1946 Lincoln Wheat Penny stands out as a piece of history, not because it's the rarest or most valuable, but because it captures a very special moment in time. It tells the story of America's recovery after World War II, and the resilience of a nation rebuilding itself through hard work and unity. The Lincoln Wheat Penny, also known as the Lincoln Cent, was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It was the first U.S. coin to feature the portrait of a real person rather than a symbolic figure, and that marked a new era in American coin design. The man behind its design was Victor David Brenner, a talented sculptor who was inspired by Lincoln's legacy of honesty, leadership, and freedom. By 1946, the Lincoln Wheat Penny had already been circulating for nearly 4 decades. The world had changed dramatically during that time. The Great Depression had come and gone, and World War II had just ended the year before, in 1945. The 1946 penny was minted during a time when America was transitioning from war to peace, from rationing to rebuilding, and from destruction to progress. During the war years, especially in 1943, copper was in short supply because it was needed for making ammunition and military equipment. To conserve copper, the U.S. Mint made a famous change. The 1943 pennies were made from zinc-coated steel instead of the usual copper. But after the war ended, in 1946, copper returned to circulation, symbolizing the country's return to normal life. That's why the 1946 Lincoln Wheat Penny holds special meaning. It represents America's recovery and renewal. The 1946 Lincoln Wheat Penny was struck in 3 different U.S. mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia mint coins had no mint mark, while Denver coins were marked with a small d under the date, and San Francisco coins carried an S. In total, over 1 billion pennies were minted that year, making it one of the most common years for wheat pennies. In detail, the Philadelphia Mint produced more than 991 million pennies, the Denver Mint struck around 315 million, and the San Francisco Mint made about 198 million. These high mintages make the 1946 penny quite common even today, and many can still be found in old collections or inherited jars of coins. Now, let's take a closer look at the design of this beautiful coin. On the obverse, or front side, we see the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, facing right. Above his head are the words, "In God We Trust," a motto that reflects the nation's faith. To the left of Lincoln's portrait is the word "Liberty," and to the right is the date, 1946. If there's a mint mark, it appears just below the date. On the reverse side, the design is simple yet elegant. 2 wheat ears curve gracefully along the left and right edges, giving rise to the coin's popular nickname, the Wheat Penny. Between the wheat stalks, you'll find the denomination, 1 cent, in large letters, and below it, the words, United States of America. At the top, the Latin phrase, e pluribus unum, appears, meaning, out of many, one, symbolizing the unity of the American states. This classic design remained unchanged from 1909 until 1958, when the reverse was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. As for composition, the 1946 Lincoln Wheat Penny was made from 95% copper and 5% zinc. Each coin weighs about 3.11 grams and has a diameter of 19 millimeters. Its color, when freshly minted, was a bright reddish copper, though many have since toned to a darker brown with age. Even though billions were minted, collectors still find the 1946 Lincoln Wheat Penny fascinating because of its connection to post-war America. It's a coin that circulated through the hands of veterans, workers, and families during a time of hope and rebuilding. In terms of value, most 1946 wheat pennies are common in circulated condition. A well-worn example might only be worth a few cents above face value, typically around 5 to 10 cents. However, uncirculated examples, coins that have never been used, can be worth much more. A 1946 penny in mint state condition with full red color can sell for between $3 and $10, depending on its grade. The higher the grade, the higher the value. For example, a brilliant red gem graded MS-67 by a professional grading service could reach prices over $100 or more, Among the three mints, the San Francisco Mint Mark S and the Denver D versions are slightly more desirable to collectors, though none are considered rare. What makes some examples valuable, however, are the small minting errors that occurred during production. Some collectors look for varieties like double dies, where parts of the lettering or date appear doubled due to a striking error. There are also repunched mint mark varieties, where the D or S was stamped more than once, creating a shadow effect. These errors can raise the value of the coin significantly, sometimes into the hundreds of dollars if well preserved. When looking for a valuable 1946 penny, collectors pay close attention to three things: the coin's color, its mint mark, and any signs of minting errors. A coin with original red luster, a sharp strike, and nowhere can be a prized addition to any wheat penny collection. Another interesting fact is that the 1946 Lincoln wheat penny was among the first coins struck after the U.S. Mint returned to civilian production following the end of World War II. The use of copper again symbolized peace and prosperity, a return to the material once used before the shortages of war. For many people, finding a 1946 penny in change brings back memories of their parents' or grandparents' time. It's a little piece of the past that connects generations. Holding one feels like holding a moment in history, a time when America was beginning a new chapter of progress and innovation. Even though it's not a rare coin in the traditional sense, the 1946 Lincoln wheat penny carries sentimental and historical value far beyond its price. It represents a story of recovery, unity, and strength, a story told through a simple copper coin. If you ever find one of these pennies, take a moment to look closely at the details: the wheat ears, the portrait of Lincoln, the fine engraving by Victor David Brenner. Each small detail carries over a century of American coinage tradition, and that's what makes the 1946 Lincoln wheat penny special. It's not just about rarity, it's about the history it carries in its metal. From post-war optimism to enduring craftsmanship, this humble 1-cent piece reminds us that even the smallest coins can tell the greatest stories. Next coin. Few coins hold as much nostalgia and historical value as the Lincoln wheat penny. Among these classic coins, the 1952 Lincoln wheat cent stands as a symbol of America's strength and recovery in the years following World War II. Though it may appear like an ordinary penny to the untrained eye, the 1952 wheat cent carries a story of history, design, and the changing face of U.S. coinage during the mid-20th century. Let's travel back to the early 1950s. The year 1952 was a time of optimism for the United States. The war was behind them, the economy was booming, and the American dream was taking shape. During this time, the U.S. Mint continued producing one of the most beloved coins in American history, the Lincoln wheat penny. The Lincoln wheat penny was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. It was designed by Victor David Brenner, whose initials, VDB, can be found on some of the earliest issues. The coin's obverse, or front side, features a right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln, the first time in U.S. history that a real person was depicted on a circulating coin. The reverse of the coin carries two wheat ears on either side, framing the denomination, 1 cent, and the inscription, United States of America. This design gave rise to its popular nickname, the wheat penny, or wheat cent. Above the design are the Latin words, e pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. Now, let's focus on the 1952 edition of this famous coin. The 1952 wheat penny was struck at 3 mints, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The coins minted in Philadelphia have no mint mark, while those from Denver carry a small D below the date, and those from San Francisco show an S. In 1952, the Philadelphia Mint produced more than 186 million Lincoln wheat pennies, while the Denver Mint struck over 746 million, and the San Francisco Mint made about 137 million. Altogether, more than a billion 1952 wheat pennies were minted, a huge number that shows how widely these coins were circulated across the country. Each of these coins was made primarily from 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving them their rich reddish-brown color. The composition remained the same as earlier issues, except for a brief change during World War II in 1943 when the penny was made from zinc-coated steel to save copper for the war effort. The design of the 1952 penny remains the same as Victor Brenner's original vision, Lincoln's dignified portrait on the front, and the wheat ears symbolizing prosperity and growth on the back. However, by this time, small details had evolved slightly due to dye, wear and minting technology, giving some coins sharper relief than others. Collectors often grade these coins based on condition. A coin in circulated condition, one that has passed through many hands over the decades, might show wear on Lincoln's hair, cheek, and jawline. The wheat stalks on the reverse might also be flattened. But uncirculated examples, with bright red luster and no signs of wear, are highly prized among collectors. When it comes to value, the 1952 wheat penny is not considered extremely rare, but certain variations and conditions can make it worth more than face value. A typical circulated 1952 penny is worth between 3 and 10 cents, depending on its color and wear. However, if the coin is in uncirculated condition with its original reddish shine, known as red in coin grading terms, it can fetch between $2 and $5. Higher grade coins, especially those graded MS 65 or above, can reach values of $20 or more. Proof versions of the 1952 penny, which were specially made for collectors by the Philadelphia Mint, are even more valuable. These proof coins, with mirror-like surfaces and sharp details, can be worth anywhere from $50 to over $100 depending on their condition. There are also a few notable errors and varieties associated with the 1952 wheat penny. One of the most sought-after errors is the double die, where parts of the design, like the date or lettering, appear slightly doubled due to a die misalignment during minting. While rare, a genuine 1952 double die penny can be worth hundreds of dollars. Other minting mistakes, like off-center strikes or repunched mint marks, can also attract collectors looking for unique pieces. Beyond its value, the 1952 wheat penny represents a fascinating era in American coinage. The design had already been in use for over 4 decades, but it still remained popular with the public. It was simple, symbolic, and deeply connected to American identity. 1952 was also one of the final decades for the wheat penny design. Just 7 years later, in 1959, the reverse design was replaced with the Lincoln Memorial to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. That change ended the half-century legacy of the wheat design, making the 1952 coin one of the later examples of this beloved classic. For coin collectors, the 1952 wheat cent holds both sentimental and historical value. It connects them to an era of American optimism, a time when families were building new homes, automobiles filled the roads, and pennies still carried a sense of worth and pride. Many people today still find 1952 wheat pennies in old jars, drawers, or inherited collections. For some, discovering one of these coins is a small window into the past, a reminder of how something as simple as a 1-cent coin can hold decades of history. If you have a 1952 wheat penny, take a close look. Is there a small D or S under the date? Does the coin still have its original red shine? Those details can make a big difference in determining its collectible value. Whether worth a few cents or a few dollars, every 1952 wheat penny carries the legacy of Lincoln's enduring image and the craftsmanship of America's early 20th century minting. In summary, the 1952 Lincoln wheat penny is a coin of character, not rare enough to make headlines, but meaningful enough to capture the hearts of collectors. It stands as a tribute to one of America's greatest presidents, a reflection of the country's post-war prosperity, and a small yet enduring piece of history that continues to circulate in the stories of numismatists worldwide. Next coin. In the vast world of coin collecting, few coins have captured the imagination of collectors quite like the 1955 Lincoln wheat penny. This little copper coin from the United States isn't just another 1-cent piece, it's a legendary era coin that tells a story of history, luck, and the power of a simple mistake. Let's travel back to the mid-1950s, a time when the American economy was booming, television was transforming homes, and the U.S. Mint was working tirelessly to produce millions of coins for everyday use. Among those millions of coins, one small batch from the Philadelphia Mint in 1955 would go down in history as one of the most famous minting errors ever made, the 1955 double die Lincoln wheat penny. To understand why this coin is so famous, we must first look at the design that inspired it. The Lincoln wheat penny was first introduced in 1909, created to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. Designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner, the obverse, or front side, features a detailed portrait of Lincoln, facing right, with the words, "In God We Trust," above, "Liberty," on the left, and the date on the right. On the reverse side, you'll find two stylized stalks of wheat curving along the sides, symbolizing prosperity and growth, hence the name wheat penny. Between them are the words, 1 cent, United States of America, and the national motto, E pluribus unum. By 1955, this design had already been in circulation for nearly half a century, and the U.S. Mint was producing billions of them. However, something unusual happened one night in Philadelphia. During the minting process, one die, the metal stamp used to impress the coin's design, was accidentally struck twice, but slightly misaligned between strikes. This resulted in a dramatic doubled image on the obverse side of the coin. When these coins were released into circulation, the doubling was so strong that anyone looking closely could immediately see it. The inscriptions, Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date, 1955, appeared doubled and blurry. But the reverse side remained perfectly normal. This striking visual error made the 1955 Lincoln wheat penny an instant sensation among collectors. It was one of the most dramatic and visible doubling errors in U.S. coinage history, and it happened entirely by accident. That it's believed that roughly 20,000 to 24,000 of these doubled die pennies were produced before the mistake was noticed. Instead of being destroyed, many of them were mixed into regular coin bags and released into circulation, often through cigarette vending machines in the northeastern United States. Imagine finding a rare and valuable coin while buying a pack of cigarettes in the 1950s. That's exactly how many people first discovered the 1955 double die penny. From that point on, the coin took on a life of its own. Coin collectors across America began searching through their change, hoping to spot the now famous double date and lettering. For many, it was their first introduction to the world of coin collecting. The 1955 wheat penny inspired thousands of new hobbyists and remains a symbol of how exciting numismatics, the study and collection of coins, can be. In terms of composition, the 1955 wheat penny was made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, weighing 3.11 grams, and measuring 19 millimeters in diameter. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 330 million regular 1955 Lincoln cents that year, but only a small fraction had the double die error. So how can you tell if you have one of these legendary coins? It's easy to spot once you know what to look for. The doubling on the obverse side is extremely strong, most noticeable in the words, Liberty, and, In God We Trust. The date, 1955, is also clearly doubled. However, the reverse side looks completely normal, so if both sides show doubling, it's not the genuine error, it's a mechanical or worthless double strike. Because of its fame, the 1955 double die penny has become one of the most counterfeited coins in U.S. history. Many imitation coins were created by altering regular 1955 cents or pressing fake dies. That's why it's always best to have the coin authenticated by a professional grading service such as PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company, before buying or selling one. Now, let's talk about the value. The 1955 Lincoln wheat penny in circulated condition, meaning it has been used but still clearly shows the doubling, can fetch anywhere between $800 to $1,500 depending on its wear and appearance. However, uncirculated or mint condition examples can sell for $3,000 to over $20,000, and in some rare cases, even more. One example graded MS65 by PCGS sold for nearly $30,000 at auction. That's an incredible amount for a coin that originally had a face value of just 1 cent, but not every 1955 penny is a double die. There are regular strikes from the same year that are common and usually worth only a few cents unless they are in pristine, uncirculated condition. This is why collectors always look carefully for the doubling, because that's where the real treasure lies. Beyond its monetary value, the 1955 Lincoln wheat penny holds a special place in American history. It represents the end of an era, as the wheat design would soon be replaced by the Lincoln Memorial Reverse in 1959 to mark Lincoln's 150th birthday. It also marks the rise of coin collecting as a popular hobby across the United States. For many collectors, finding a 1955 double die penny is like uncovering buried treasure. It's a reminder that history, art, and human error can sometimes come together to create something truly special. Today, the 1955 Lincoln wheat penny remains one of the most sought-after coins in American numismatics. Whether you're a beginner or an expert collector, this coin's story continues to inspire curiosity, excitement, and the thrill of discovery. Next coin. This small copper coin is more than just a piece of American currency, it's a link to the end of an era, the closing chapter of one of the most beloved coin designs in U.S. history. Today, let's explore the story behind the 1958 Lincoln Wheat Penny, its design, production, history, and value among collectors. The year 1958 was a significant one for the United States. It was the final year that the wheat reverse appeared on the penny before it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design in 1959. For coin collectors, that alone makes this coin historically important. It marks the end of a 50-year tradition that began in 1909 with the introduction of the Lincoln cent. The Lincoln Wheat Penny was first minted in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, a bold change in American coinage at the time. The coin's design was created by sculptor Victor David Brenner, who placed Lincoln's portrait on the obverse, or front side, and two stylized wheat stalks on the reverse to symbolize prosperity and national growth. By 1958, the design had already been a familiar sight in every American's pocket for decades. Millions of these coins passed through the hands of workers, soldiers, students, and families, becoming a humble yet powerful symbol of the nation's resilience through the Great Depression, World War II, and the post-war boom. The 1958 wheat penny was struck at two mints, Philadelphia and Denver. The Philadelphia mint coins bear no mint mark, while those struck in Denver display a small D beneath the date. The total mintage for 1958 was massive, over 252 million coins were struck at Philadelphia, and an incredible 800 million at the Denver Mint. That means there were more than 1 billion wheat pennies minted that year, a fitting finale for this iconic design. The coin itself is composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving it that rich reddish-brown tone collectors love. Each penny weighs 3.11 grams and measures 19 millimeters in diameter. Despite its small size, the details on the coin are full of artistry. On the obverse, we see a right-facing bust of President Lincoln with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," along the top, "Liberty," on the left, and the date, 1958, on the right. The reverse shows two wheat stalks framing the words, 1 cent, and United States of America, with the motto, E pluribus unum, above. Now, what makes the 1958 penny particularly special is that it represents the end of the wheat era. Just 1 year later, in 1959, the U.S. Mint introduced a brand new reverse design featuring the Lincoln Memorial, celebrating Lincoln's 150th birthday. This change was ordered under President Dwight D. Eisenhower and designed by engraver Frank Casparo, marking a transition from a simple agricultural theme to a national monument symbolizing unity and democracy. Because of this historical significance, 1958 wheat pennies are often collected not for their rarity, but for their sentimental and historical value. Still, not all 1958 pennies are created equal, and some can be worth far more than 1 cent. In circulated condition, most 1958 pennies are worth only a few cents due to the high mintage. But uncirculated examples, especially those with sharp details and original red luster, can bring in higher values. A brilliant red uncirculated 1958 D penny can sell for around $5 to $10, while a mint state 1958 without a mint mark can fetch similar amounts depending on condition. However, there's one particular variety that turns this otherwise common coin into a true treasure, the 1958 double die obverse penny. This variety features clear doubling in the inscriptions, "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." Only a few examples are known to exist, making it one of the rarest Lincoln cent errors ever discovered. In fact, one of these 1958 double die pennies was sold at auction for over $1.1 million, making it one of the most valuable pennies in U.S. history. This incredible rarity is what fuels collectors' excitement, the idea that a small copper coin sitting in an old jar might hold a life-changing fortune. Beyond its monetary value, the 1958 Lincoln Wheat Penny carries deep symbolic meaning. It connects the story of Abraham Lincoln, a man born in a humble log cabin who led the nation through its greatest crisis, to the everyday American experience. The wheat design itself reflects America's agricultural roots, a reminder of the nation's growth and self-reliance through the early 20th century. When you hold a 1958 wheat penny, you're holding the final chapter of an American legacy that began half a century earlier. From 1909 to 1958, billions of these coins circulated across the country, silently bearing witness to moments of triumph and hardship. They jingled in the pockets of factory workers, paid for movie tickets, bought candy at corner stores, and passed through the hands of soldiers returning from war. For collectors today, the 1958 penny offers both affordability and a sense of completion. It's often one of the final coins needed to complete a full Lincoln wheat cent set, from 1909 all the way to 1958. Many collectors remember finding these coins in their childhood change jars or being given a handful by grandparents who grew up using them daily. Even though it's a common coin, the 1958 wheat penny is beloved for what it represents: the end of a timeless design, a piece of artistry in miniature, and a lasting tribute to one of America's greatest presidents. So, the next time you come across a Lincoln wheat penny from 1958, take a moment to appreciate its story. Think of the millions of Americans who once used it, the artist who sculpted its design more than a century ago, and the enduring legacy it carries. That it might only be worth a cent, or in rare cases, a fortune, but its true value lies in history. The 1958 Lincoln wheat penny is more than just old money. It's a tangible piece of America's past, a symbol of progress, and the final goodbye to a design that defined an era.